Hey everyone, this is Michael, and this is my INFX531/Info431 final project presentation for METS. The institution I chose for application of METS metadata set is the International Children's Digital Library, which contains a collection of over 10,000 books in over 100 languages that is freely available to children, teachers, librarians, and basically anyone in the world. So as you can see on my screen right now, I have their site pulled up, and I'm just gonna go ahead and click on read books. So what that did is it pulls up a search functionality where we get to search for through the digital collection uh, of all the books on their site, and there's a wide range of categories we get to choose from to narrow down our searches. So we get to organize it by the color of the book covers, or it could be by age, target audience. There's the length of the book, what the book is about, and so forth. So for example, if we go ahead and select red covers, it brings up 145 books that have red covers in their collection. And if we specify another criteria, such as short books, that narrows down the search down to 103 books. Let's say go ahead and we want to look for the real animal characters in the books. And so now we have 32 books. And if we just go ahead and select one of them, this one is called Brown Cat. It pulls up information about the book, including its author, illustrator, number of pages, book summary, publication date, languages, contributor, publisher, ISBN, etc. And if we click on read this book, it gives us the digitized version of the book itself. So these are just all the thumbnails in the book. So let's go ahead and take a look at my schema. So this is my METS.xsd schema, with the top level element being METS of METS type, which is basically the container for all the major sections of my schema. So first of all, my METS header element has the attributes create date and last mod date. These are the date of creation for the METS document as well as the date of its last modification. The METS header element consists of an agent element as well as it contains information about myself basically as the creator of the document. So next we have dmdsec, which is the descriptive metadata section. And as you can see here, mdref has attributes such as location type, href, and label, which are all used to describe information about the location of the individual book. The mdwrap element down here provides a wrapper around metadata embedded within my METS document. So in other words, it is used to point to descriptive metadata external to the METS document. Next is file section, which lists all files containing content which comprise the electronic versions of the digital object. So the file elements in here are grouped within file group elements, and so in my case here, there are separate file group elements for each individual thumbnail that you see on this page. Each of these are in their own file group element. And lastly, I have structure map, which defines a hierarchical structure which can be presented to users of the digital library object. It contains a file pointer element which points to the file IDs from the file sec up here. Yeah, right here, these file IDs right here. And of course I made everything into complex types for reusability reasons. Okay, well, here's my local schema. Just a small little schema, which I used to define further terms that I could not do so with just METS. So I have Illustrator, number of pages, awards, and categories. Now, what I did with categories is that I made it a vocabulary encoding scheme. So as you can see, our category has an enumerated list of ID values, all these right here. And what these IDs corresponds to is the actual ID values of each of the categories in the search page. So if we look back on the site, so as you can see here on the URL box up top, the book that we are looking at right now has the ID values 24, 274, and 301. Because each of these individual categories, like green covers, award-winning books, picture books, 10 to 13, they each have their own unique ID. My original intent with this was actually to incorporate this with my structure map, but I didn't know how to really go about implementing that, so that's why I just put it in my local schema, which I felt was sufficient enough. And in my application profile, I just pretty simple here. I just imported my mets.xsd and my metslocal.xsd, and I took all of the elements from both of them and grouped them into an element group called book group. And therefore, I have a book collection with an infinite number of books, each with the properties of book group element. Now here's my instance. As you can see here, I did import some of the external schemas that we've touched upon before, such as the Dublin core metadata set and mods metadata set, because I had to borrow some of their terms in order to finish my own schema. So like looking at right here, we have METS header. It's got the create date and the last mod date being March 13th, which is when I created it and last modified it. There's my name right here, and just like a little note saying that this is for my final assignment. And there's the role and type attributes. The role is me being the creator, and the type is individual. And in my first DMD section element, I have this describes the page of the book. So this right here, this URL up here you see for this page of the book is this href right here. And my second DMD section element, this is where I use the terms from Dublin core schema, such as title, creator, contributor, description, language, date copyrighted, and publisher. These are all basic terms I borrowed from there to describe all the information I see on this page. And I also have another DMD section element where I used the identifier element inside from the mods schema. I said that it was of type ISBN, and this is just clearly, obviously, for the ISBN of the book. Next, down here is our file sec element. So this has all the file group elements underneath it, and the use attribute is thumbnail. This is referring to all these thumbnails we were looking at earlier. Each individual thumbnail has its own element, and the MIME type is basically image. They're all GIFs, so image/GIF. And of course, there's the location type being the URL, and the href, the link to each individual thumbnail. And if we scroll all the way down to the structure map, it contains the file pointers to the locations of each of those images on the page. These are all the FIDs that we see in the file IDs up here. And then here's the local elements that I defined earlier. Illustrator, number of pages, awards, and these are all the different categories that we use to search for the book, that the book was classified as. And that's it. And here's just another book instance. Okay, thanks for listening.